They say blood is thicker than water, but in my family, money proved thicker than both. When my grandfather passed away, I thought the hardest part would be saying goodbye to him. He had been the rock of our family. Stern at times, yes, but also fair. He built his wealth through decades of hard work, starting with nothing and leaving behind properties, businesses, and investments that could secure generations. What I didn't realize then was that his death would ignite a firestorm that tore our family apart. And at the center of it all was one house, one seemingly ordinary property that carried secrets none of us expected. The reading of the will. The day of the will reading felt surreal. We gathered in the oak-paneled office of my grandfather's lawyer, Mr. Harris. My father, my uncle, their wives, my cousins, and me. I remember gripping the arm of the leather chair, heart pounding, as Harris read the document aloud. The properties were divided carefully. A vacation cabin to my uncle, a block of rental apartments to my father, cash and stocks split among the grandchildren. But then came the shock. The family estate, the house we all grew up visiting every Sunday, the one with sprawling gardens and my grandfather's study filled with old books, that house was left to me. Not my father, not my uncle, me. Gasps filled the room. My uncle's face turned crimson. My father's eyes widened in disbelief. "Surely there's been a mistake," my uncle barked. But Harris shook his head. "This is your father's will, sir. He was very clear. The estate goes to Anna." The fallout. From that moment, everything changed. The house became a symbol, not just of inheritance, but of status and control. My uncle accused me of manipulating my grandfather. My cousins whispered that I didn't deserve it. Even my father, though quieter, looked at me differently, as if he'd been robbed of something that should have been his by birthright. The family dinner stopped. Phone calls turned cold. And then the schemes began. The swap proposal. It started innocently enough. A month after the reading, my uncle invited me to his office. He poured me coffee, smiled like nothing was wrong, and said, "Anna, I think we can make this easier for everyone. You're young, you don't need that old house. How about we swap? You take the cabin upstate, and I'll take the estate. Fair trade." I stared at him, stunned. "That's not a fair trade. The estate is worth 5 times as much." He leaned back, smirking. "Money isn't everything. The cabin is peaceful. You'll thank me." I left without agreeing, but I could see it in his eyes. He wasn't going to let this go. The pressure builds. Over the next few months, the pressure escalated. Relatives called, urging me to do the right thing and give the house to my uncle. My cousins sent me guilt-ridden messages about family unity. Even my father grew distant, clearly resentful but unwilling to openly say so. At first, I held my ground, but then strange things started happening. Documents went missing from my desk. Keys disappeared. Once I arrived at the estate to find the locks changed. My uncle claimed it was a mistake, that he thought the house was unoccupied. It wasn't just pressure anymore. It was sabotage. The breaking point. The breaking point came when I discovered my uncle had secretly rented out part of the property to tenants without my permission. When I confronted him, he laughed. "Why do you care? You don't know how to manage a property like this. Better to let me handle it." I wanted to scream. Instead, I called Mr. Harris. "Document everything," he advised. "If your uncle is overstepping, we'll take legal action." But what Harris didn't know was that my uncle had a bigger plan. The forged agreement. One evening, Harris called me into his office with a grave expression. "Anna, I've received a document, apparently signed by you, agreeing to swap the estate for the cabin. My blood ran cold. That's impossible. I never signed anything. Harris slid the paper across his desk. My signature was there, shaky but convincing. He's trying to make it legal, Harris said. If we don't fight this, he could tie this up in court for years. I felt betrayed on a level I can't describe. This wasn't just about property anymore. It was about my grandfather's memory, about him trusting me to guard the home he built. I swore right then I wouldn't let my uncle win. The investigation. I hired a forensic handwriting expert. We compared the so-called signature with my actual documents. It didn't match. Meanwhile, I started digging into the estate records. That's when I uncovered something shocking. My uncle had already filed paperwork to transfer the title months ago. He was that confident I wouldn't fight back. The case went to court. My uncle arrived smug, flanked by high-powered lawyers. He painted me as naive, too inexperienced to handle the estate, claiming I'd changed my mind after signing the agreement. But when the handwriting expert testified that the document was a forgery, his confidence cracked. The family war. The trial tore our family apart. Relatives took sides. My father remained frustratingly neutral, unwilling to confront his brother openly. My cousins called me selfish, greedy, ungrateful. But I kept reminding myself this wasn't just about money. It was about truth, about respecting my grandfather's wishes. When the judge finally ruled in my favor, declaring the swap agreement void and condemning my uncle for fraud, I should have felt relief. But all I felt was hollow, because in winning, I had lost my family. The aftermath. My uncle refused to speak to me. His children cut me off completely. Family gatherings became awkward, then non-existent. My father and I, our relationship never fully recovered. I could see the disappointment in his eyes, even though he never said it outright. He had wanted the estate too. So I lived in the house, alone, surrounded by echoes of the past. Sometimes I'd walk through the study, running my hands over the spines of my grandfather's books, wondering if he had foreseen this chaos. Did he know his decision would divide us? Did he hope I'd be strong enough to withstand it? Reflection. Looking back, I realized the property was never really the issue. It was a symbol. To my uncle, it meant power. To my father, it meant pride. To me, it meant responsibility. In the end, I kept the house. I kept my grandfather's trust. But I paid a price I'll never forget. Because when money enters the picture, family ties fray faster than anyone expects. And though I stood my ground, I sometimes wonder if it was worth it. But then I remember my grandfather's words written in his will. The estate belongs to the one who will honor it, not exploit it. And I know, despite everything, I did the right thing.